Title. He brought back his first love's baby and broke my heart, but I walked away to rewrite my destiny. Chapter 1: The Betrayal. Ryan's dedication to Elena's child grew with each passing day, and so did Violet's doubts about their future. She watched as he spent hours on the phone with Elena, assuring her everything would be fine. Violet's presence in the house became an afterthought, her voice drowned out by Lily's cries and Ryan's unwavering devotion to someone else. One afternoon, Violet confronted him, her hands trembling as she held the packet of pills he'd given her. "I can't take these, Ryan. It's dangerous for the baby I'm carrying," she pleaded. His expression hardened. "Why are you being so selfish, Violet? This isn't about you, it's about an innocent child who needs us." His words struck her like a slap. "What about our baby?" she demanded, tears spilling down her cheeks. But Ryan, distracted by a text from Elena, brushed her aside. "We'll figure it out later." Frustrated and heartbroken, Violet decided she couldn't keep living in the shadows of Ryan's past. That evening, she packed a small bag, ready to leave, but the sight of Lily's tiny figure made her hesitate. She wasn't heartless. But could she sacrifice her own happiness for a man who didn't see her worth? Chapter 2: The Fall. The confrontation happened the next morning. Violet, unable to hold back her frustration, told Ryan she couldn't take the pills or care for Lily under these circumstances. "I'm pregnant, Ryan. How can you expect me to risk our baby for this?" she cried, her voice breaking. Ryan's face contorted in anger. "You're unbelievable, Violet. How can you put yourself above a helpless baby?" he shouted, his hands clenched into fists. In his fury, he stepped forward, unintentionally knocking Violet off balance. She fell hard onto the floor, clutching her stomach as pain radiated through her body. The world spun as she gasped for air, her heart breaking at the realization that the man she loved could be so blind to her pain. Ryan, oblivious to the gravity of his actions, rushed to Lily's side instead of helping Violet. "Don't make this about you, Violet. We're doing this for Elena." That was the last straw. Violet called off the wedding, her voice calm but cold as she spoke to the event coordinator. "Please cancel everything. There will be no ceremony tomorrow." As she hung up, she made a silent vow: she would no longer live for someone who couldn't value her. Chapter 3: The Departure. Leaving Ryan was harder than Violet expected. Every corner of their apartment reminded her of the life they had built, or the illusion of one. She packed only the essentials, leaving behind the wedding dress she'd once dreamed of wearing. As she walked out the door, Ryan barely noticed. His focus was entirely on Lily, and by extension, Elena. Violet paused, hoping for a moment of recognition, a sign that he cared. But Ryan never turned. Days turned into weeks as Violet settled into a small apartment on the other side of the city. She found solace in work and therapy, slowly rebuilding her life. The pain of losing her child lingered, but she was determined not to let it define her. Meanwhile, Ryan's world began to unravel. Elena's gratitude turned into guilt as she realized the damage her situation had caused. "You shouldn't have pushed her away, Ryan. Violet was the best thing that ever happened to you," Elena said one day, her voice heavy with regret. Chapter 4: The Realization. Ryan's guilt grew as he reflected on his actions. He found the cancelled wedding invitations tucked in a drawer, a stark reminder of what he had lost. He tried to call Violet, but her number was disconnected. For the first time, he felt the weight of his choices. Elena, now recovering, urged Ryan to make amends. "You were so focused on saving me that you destroyed the person who loved you the most," she said, her eyes filled with sorrow. Her words pierced through Ryan's denial, forcing him to confront his mistakes. Determined to find Violet, Ryan began searching for her, only to discover that she had built a new life, a stronger, happier one without him. The sight of her laughing with friends at a cafe brought a pang of jealousy and regret. But Violet wasn't the same woman he had left behind. She was resilient, her pain transformed into strength. Ryan realized that winning her back wouldn't be easy, but he was willing to try. For the first time, he understood the depth of his love for her. Months later, Ryan stood outside Violet's apartment, holding a bouquet of her favorite flowers. When she opened the door, her expression was unreadable. "What are you doing here, Ryan?" she asked, her voice steady. "I came to apologize. For everything. For not seeing you, for hurting you, and for losing our child," he said, his voice breaking. Violet listened, her heart torn between old wounds and the possibility of closure. "I've moved on, Ryan," she said finally. "You are my greatest heartbreak, but also my greatest lesson. I deserve more than you were willing to give." With those words, she closed the door, leaving Ryan to face the consequences of his actions. As Violet walked back into her apartment, she felt a sense of peace. Her past no longer defined her, she had rewritten her destiny. For the first time in a long time, she was truly free. Chapter 5: The New Beginning. Violet's decision to close the door on Ryan wasn't just physical, it was symbolic of her newfound independence. She focused on her career, pouring her energy into a business idea she had shelved during her relationship. Within months, her small catering service grew into a thriving venture, earning her both financial stability and a sense of accomplishment. One evening, while preparing for a major event, Violet received an unexpected visitor. It was Lucas, an old friend from college who had once confessed his feelings for her. Back then, she was too wrapped up in Ryan to notice him. Now, his warm smile and genuine interest in her life felt like a refreshing change. "Looks like you're doing amazing," Lucas said, gesturing to the busy kitchen. Violet smiled. "It's been a journey, but I'm proud of how far I've come." Their conversation flowed naturally, and Lucas's presence was a reminder that there were people who saw her worth without conditions. Their friendship rekindled, and Lucas became a constant in her life. He was there to celebrate her victories and support her through the moments of doubt that still crept in. For the first time in years, Violet allowed herself to imagine a future filled with love, one that wasn't tied to pain or compromise. Chapter 6: Ryan's Despair. Ryan, meanwhile, was struggling to cope with Violet's rejection. He threw himself into work, but no amount of distraction could fill the void she had left. Elena had moved on with her life, grateful for his help, but no longer dependent on him. Without Lily or Elena to focus on, Ryan was forced to confront his loneliness. One day, while clearing out his apartment, Ryan stumbled upon a scrapbook Violet had made early in their relationship. It was filled with photos, handwritten notes, and little mementos of their time together. Each page was a painful reminder of how much she had loved him and how little he had appreciated it. Desperate for closure, Ryan sought out Violet again. This time, he approached her with humility, not expecting forgiveness, but hoping to at least make peace. "I know I can't undo the past, but I need you to know how deeply sorry I am," he said when she agreed to meet him at a quiet cafe. Violet listened patiently, her expression unreadable. When he finished, she spoke softly. "Ryan, I've forgiven you. Not for your sake, but for mine. Holding on to anger only holds me back. But forgiveness doesn't mean I'll let you back into my life." Her words were final, and Ryan left the cafe knowing he had lost her for good. Chapter 7: Love Rekindled. As time went on, Violet and Lucas's relationship deepened. Their shared moments of laughter and vulnerability brought them closer, and soon, what had started as a friendship blossomed into something more. Lucas's kindness and steady support were a stark contrast to the turmoil she had endured with Ryan. One evening, while watching the sunset from Violet's balcony, Lucas took her hand. "Violet, I don't want to rush you, but I need you to know how much I care about you. You're incredible, and I want to be by your side, no matter what." His words were sincere, and for the first time, Violet felt ready to open her heart fully. Their relationship wasn't without challenges. Violet still carried scars from her past, and there were moments when doubts crept in. But Lucas's patience and unwavering love helped her heal in ways she hadn't thought possible. As their relationship grew, Lucas encouraged Violet to chase her dreams unapologetically. With his support, she expanded her business into a nationwide brand, becoming a role model for women seeking to rebuild their lives after hardship. Chapter 8: The Final Goodbye. Ryan watched from afar as Violet's life flourished. He couldn't help but feel a pang of envy when he saw her smiling in a magazine feature about her business. But more than that, he felt pride. She had become everything he had failed to appreciate. One day, Ryan wrote Violet a letter. He poured his heart into it, apologizing once again for his mistakes and thanking her for the love she had given him. He admitted that losing her had been his greatest regret, but assured her that he would no longer try to win her back. When Violet received the letter, she read it carefully, her heart heavy with mixed emotions. She appreciated Ryan's honesty, but knew that his words, though meaningful, couldn't change the past. She kept the letter in a drawer, a reminder of how far she had come. As Violet stood on the stage at an awards ceremony, receiving recognition for her entrepreneurial achievements, she looked out at the crowd and spotted Lucas, clapping proudly. In that moment, she realized that life had given her a second chance at happiness, not through Ryan's redemption, but through her own resilience and the love she had found within herself and with Lucas. Epilogue: A Life Rewritten. Years later, Violet's life was a picture of fulfillment. She and Lucas were married, their bond stronger than ever. Together, they had a son, Ethan, who brought joy and laughter into their home. On her mantelpiece, among family photos and awards, was a single photo of Violet standing outside her first catering van. It was a reminder of where her journey had begun and how she had turned pain into strength. When Ryan saw a magazine cover featuring Violet and her family, he felt a pang of longing but also a sense of peace. He had learned to live with his mistakes, using them as a lesson to treat others better. In his own quiet way, he cheered for Violet's happiness, knowing it was the least he could do for the woman he had once loved and hurt. Violet's story was no longer about heartbreak or betrayal. It was about growth, resilience, and finding love that respected and cherished her for who she was. In rewriting her destiny, she had found a happiness that was truly hers.